cling onto a childish notion of love. I pause, biting back my automatic reply, because instead I let his words sink in, just taking a moment to consider them. Perhaps he's right, after all. Perhaps it's just really just meaningless. When has my love ever been able to do any good? All it's done is bring pain and misery on anyone I hold dear. But then I think of Ron, and his face fills my heart, making it swell like a balloon, and I know that while he embodies every truth in the world, Lucius has only ever been full of lies. I look Lucius in the eyes, meeting his gaze like the equal he believes I will never be, and I find myself talking. Because love is the best thing in the world, I whisper. It might be ungovernable, unbearable, and even absolutely horrible at times, but it's the most wonderful. So wonderful that nothing can compare to it. To be able to care that much for someone, to be able to feel that way about another human being, it's like nothing else in the world. He's looking at me with no understanding at all. He almost looks disgusted, but it's not disgust he feels. I know this. It's as if he wants to understand me, strange as that might seem, but it's physically impossible for him to do so. I shake my head, smiling bitterly. I pity you. Anger starts to creep onto his face at that. And what exactly makes you pity me? Because you're the one in prison, I whisper. None of your pure blood supremacy theories were ever true. They're just lies, fed to you by past generations, ruled by hatred and fear. But you can't set yourself free from admitting that you were wrong. To do so would be to admit that you've been living a lie all these years. He looks furious. No, furious is too mild a term for what he looks. He looks as if right now he'd like nothing more than to dash my brains out against the wall. And so you're trapped, imprisoned, just like me, I mutter, my nerves jangling because I know that I'm going to get punished from this, but it needs to be said all the same. But at least I haven't got any option but to stay here. You've got every option in the world to leave your prison, but you won't allow yourself to. You have condemned yourself with your own stupid beliefs. His hand raises in temper, and I flinch, pulling my head back to prepare for the strike, but he checks it and lowers his hand again. He's contented himself just to glare at me. Don't provoke me, Mudblood, he says, his lips barely moving. I mean it. I will not allow you to sit here and preach to me things you could never even possibly comprehend. But I do comprehend it, I say quietly. God knows where I'm getting my strength to say this. But right now, I feel like I have nothing else to lose. I know exactly what's going on in the twisted mind of yours. And I know what the solution is, too. I could tell you how to solve all of your problems. I pause for breath. You could set me free, I whisper. His reaction is what I expect, a white, harsh expression of incredulous fury. What? Take a deep, juddering breath, trying to drive my fear away. I have nothing to lose, and everything to gain. I've just got to say this to him. You could let me go, and set yourself free at the same time. You could shed yourself of all the years of hatred and prejudice by doing the very best thing you could do for me. A mudblood. You could give me my life back. For a long while the air is rigid and his with fury and my terror, with his fury and my terror. But if I expected him to shout and rant and hit me and over again, then I was wrong. Because all he does, in the end, is breathe a small, mirthless laugh, shaking his head. No, I don't think so. I bite my lip. I can't lose this. But no, he repeats. I don't think so. Because even if I were foolish enough to set you free, I know that you wouldn't go. He laughs again at the expression on my face. You see, my blood, you're not the only one who can make observations, he drawls, and I have been watching you, all the time, watching you, figuring you out, getting to know you, gradually, and now I never have to wonder at your motives or your behavior or your emotions anymore. I suck in my breath. I don't know why, but I haven't thought of him watching me as closely as I've been watching him. Trying to work him out, trying to unravel the mystery of him. I always just assumed that while he kept his emotions so closely guarded, I was always displaying mine so publicly that he could never have any doubts about how my mind was working. But then, if he can't understand love or any emotion that comes attached to it, then perhaps it's why he found it so difficult to understand me. I could set you free, he goes on, but I know that you wouldn't want to leave. I know that you wouldn't want to... I know if you wouldn't want to leave if I did. You told me once, yourself, that given the option, you'd stay here to save me. Those last 3 words seemed to cost him quite a bit of effort. As he pauses before he speaks again, furthermore, I know that if I were to offer you the chance to leave, the best part of you would resent being parted from me. He smirks, and his hand laces into my hair, drawing my face closer to his. How can you possibly claim Weasley's love can compare to the hold I have over you? His voice flows from his mouth like poison. I press my lips together at his words, as his words work their way into my soul like splinters, and he smirks, relishing his triumph. You wouldn't ever want to leave me, he whispers. I know this, and you know this, and that's why I'm not going to set you free. I'm going to be merciful for once. I shall keep you here, and grant your soul's deepest, darkest wishes. He presses his lips on mine. I know that it's all wrong. I can't do this, not again. I need to end it, for Ron's sake as well as mine. I struggle against him and put my hands... But his hands wind around my waist and he pulls me closer, and I start to make noises of protest, trying to pull away from him as hard as I can, but his kiss deepens, hardens, bruising me, cutting me, hurting me, always hurting me. I break away from him and slap him hard across the face. I can taste blood on my lips. You wish to fight me, my little mudblood, he mutters, his voice very still with anger and something else, something I know all too well. But when I answer him, I can barely speak as I try desperately to suppress the sob that threatens to burst my chest open. It's over, Lucius. It's finished. I won't do this to Ron anymore. I refuse. I'm not going to hurt him again. His face twists with sardonic mirth. What a weird little sentence that is. You cast me off for Weasley, he asks. You still genuinely believe that he has more to offer you than I do? Well, lie to me if you must, but don't lie to yourself. How please, I say furiously. What the hell have you got to offer me? Ron loves me. He could make me happier than I've ever dreamed of being. He could look after me, cherish me, comfort me. You can't offer me that. The laugh dies from his face. No, perhaps I can't, he mutters, his face reaching down, his fingers intertwine across my wrist. Too tight. But what I have to offer goes much further than that. He moves his face closer and I feel myself leaning back, so eventually I'm sitting properly on the ground as he's crouching over me, a look so furiously possessive on his face. How well does Weasley know you? He asks. I escape of him for a second, the question taking me by surprise. We've been best friends for 7 years. Alright, we might fight sometimes, but he's always been there for me. He knows me better than anyone. I beg to differ. He drawls with infuriating superiority. You know full well that I know you better than he does, despite having known you for a much shorter time. I have seen you in your weakest points. I have seen you bleeding and broken, sobbing for mercy. I have seen... He drops his eyes, his gaze running over me slowly before he looks up to my face again. Every last part of you. No one else could ever be as intimate with you as I am every moment of every day. He kisses me again, and his mouth falls open almost involuntarily, and my mouth falls open almost involuntarily as his arms wind around my waist again, pulling me even closer to him. And I know how wrong it is, and damn him, he's not letting me in this, and I need to. But how can I? I pound and slam my fist against his chest and arms, sobbing with the effort, as he restrains his cobra-like grip on me. Leave me alone! I sob, my voice cracking with misery. Please, I'm begging you, just leave me alone. I can't take it anymore. I fall forward then, my body weighed down by the sheer exhaustion as I sob so hard it's painful. And for a while his arms are so warm around me as he holds me to him. I wonder whether to just stay like this, to let him hold me there on the floor until the pain of us fall away into oblivion, because that's the only way he could be free, isn't it? We could be free, isn't it? But there's no mercy to be had. He's relentless. He uncoiled